The Drew McIntyre CM Punk storyline that's been going on basically since Punk was injured at the Royal Rumble has been the absolute highlight for me, or at least one of the absolute highlights for me on Monday Night Raw. Every single week they advance the storyline, they tell another piece of this, they build anticipation to see these two get into it without them ever having to barely lay a finger on each other. They have gotten somewhat physical within the confines of what Punk was allowed to do by the doctors or whatever the case may be. You know, a lot of smoke and mirrors as well, like Drew, assaulting Punk outside of the building, but you don't see it. He just carries his lifeless bloody body in and then drops him on the fucking doormat. This has been incredible. Some of the best TV WWE's done in a long time because it's real. I believe both of these guys. Neither one of them are reading from a script. They're just shooting from the hip, talking their trash, and I've loved every single second of it. Well, apparently now CM Punk is good to go. He's cleared. He came out on Monday Night Raw in Green Bay, Wisconsin, made the announcement and challenged Drew McIntyre to a fight right then and there, taping up his fists. I love that little touch, by the way. He's putting on the tape when he's calling a guy out for a fight. That shit's real because you don't want to bust up your wrists and your knuckles and your hands and shit, right? Well, here's CM Punk making the announcement, and then we'll talk about it more on the back end.
I'm cleared!
Oh, yeah.
And that means we're going to fight, and I'm going to get my pound of flesh. So, Drew McIntyre, come get this beating that you deserve.
So, obviously, now this begs the question, as you can see from the thumbnail over there. When will CM Punk get injured again? Now, look, I know, I'm being negative, but CM Punk has a track record, a history, if you will, of being injury prone. Does he not? Fragile mind, fragile body, fragile ego. Is that what John Moxley said? And if you don't believe me, look, let's take a look back. And I'm not talking back in his prior WWE career. I'm talking just since his first run. And look, I'm not knocking CM Punk here either. I'm one of the biggest CM Punk marks you will ever find. I was there at the first dance in Chicago at the United Center when CM Punk made his triumphant return to pro wrestling. I ate that shit up. I was one of the dudes in the fucking with the tears running down his face. It was magic. That being said, since he came back, he's been a bit fragile, has he not? He had about a good 1 year run, right? He was able to do about a year working with MJF and shit where everything went off basically without a hitch. Then 2022, we get the infamous broken foot. And honestly, I think I called that as soon as I seen it because he did the crowd surfing thing. He jumped into the rail as he normally does, but then he was kind of walking gingerly on it. And it scared me immediately because, yeah, everybody can stub their toe and fucking walk funny for a few minutes, but Punk's got a little bit of a history even before his return. So I was worried, and sure as shit, he had broken his foot. And that took him out of in-ring competition for a long time. He was out for months. Then he finally returns. He still had the title, right? And then he lost it to John Moxley in a squash finish, which gave rumors that maybe his foot was not completely healed again. Then he went on to win it back after just a little bit more time for things to heal. He went on to win it back at All Out. And it was at that All Out that not only did we get the most famous press conference in wrestling history, but where Punk tore his tricep after literally having just returned to the ring for one match. It was two. He faced Moxley twice. One was the squash, which really doesn't even count. And he was grabbing his foot the whole time and then fucking flopped over like a little bitch. Apparently there was some behind the scenes drama over that finish. But, it was the infamous Rocky finish, right? Where Moxley said he never saw Rocky before, or was it Punk that never saw Rocky? I can't imagine either way. It was a whole stupid thing. But then he comes back and he tears his fucking tricep off the bone. So not only does he get suspended, but he would have been out anyway with injury, and he had to drop the title. He came back, did a very, very short run, and then ended up getting fired. Came back after a year. He was out for a goddamn year for that tricep injury. Comes to WWE, makes his debut, has one match, untelevised with Dom. Everything seems to go by fine. And then the next one, in the Royal Rumble, he tears his tricep again. No, look, wrestling is not ballet. People get hurt all the time. It is an environment where inherently at some point injuries will occur. CM Punk's old though, man. He's getting up there. His body is not going to be able to withstand all the punishment that it once was before. And with all that time off, sure, you could look at it one way and say, well, that gave his body a lot of time to heal. And took a lot, he wasn't taking bumps during any of that time, So even though he's older now, his body is not an old veteran's body. But it still kind of is. He's old, he's broken down, he does not move as fast as he used to in the ring. He's not as agile. He was always kind of clumsy to begin with. Like, look, I think Punk's matches are great. Punk can work like a motherfucker, and he can hide whatever issues he's having in his ring, but he has certainly lost a step since he came back and became old man grizzled Punk, right? He's in his Logan era, for the Wolverine fans. But I just don't have any faith in his body to be able to withstand any kind of harsh punishment. I fully expect him to walk out of SummerSlam in his match with Drew McIntyre injured again or shortly after, and it sucks because we could have potentially seen that CM Punk main event WrestleMania world title match. And I don't know that we'll ever get that again because Punk doesn't need to be in the main event. The story wrote itself. It was there for the taking with Seth Rollins, but now not so much. And that's why Drew McIntyre didn't win the title off Damian Priest, because he didn't need to. Right? The Punk-Drew feud is hot enough without all that shit. So, and by the way, I'm glad that Seth Rollins is the special guest referee and it's not a triple threat. I was terrified that when Rollins got kind of inserted back into this again, that they were going to do some kind of triple threat shit. And yes, I know that the story was there and people wanted to see it, and it's still there and it's still waiting for Rollins versus Seth. They could pick that right back up and move forward with it. But did I say Rollins versus Seth? Rollins versus Punk. Jesus fucking Christ. But I want to see the Drew McIntyre CM Punk match. That's the one that they've been building for months and months and months. Ever since Punk got hurt at the Royal Rumble, I wanted nothing more. Drew came out and said, I prayed for that to happen to you. Oh my God. And then he had the fucking t-shirt with the CM Punk's WrestleMania main event on the gravestone. Like, the troll jobs right from the very beginning, the trolling was epic. This was one of the most epic builds. I don't want it muddied up with some other person in there. Even though you can say, oh yeah, Seth has a thing with Punk still, they can do that later. They don't need to do it right now. Keep it one-on-one, Punk versus McIntyre. Seth as a referee, that's fine. Will he be partial? Will he get involved? Who knows? Probably, maybe, I don't know. It depends where they want to go from there. I think there's enough meat on the bone. I think they probably should have just kept him out of it completely for now. I think there's enough meat on the bone between Punk and McIntyre, if Punk can remain healthy and not get hurt again, to do 2 to 3 matches with them two. Blow it off in some sort of brutal blood feud, right? Strap match again, or who knows where it leads to. Hell in a Cell, is that still a thing? They still have a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view? I don't know. But you could build it to a more brutal match, Hopefully Punk does. I'm not wishing ill on the guy. I'm not trying to jinx the man. I'm just saying there's a very good chance, based on his track record, that his fragile body will give out on him again. You know, he can say, it's, wrestling shit happens. It's a tough sport. It's full contact. Sure. But then you got guys like The Miz who never get hurt, ever. In fact, Jade Cargill just did an interview, or she was on the Hot Ones thing or whatever, and she said she never had a broken bone in her life. Now, she has not had the career that Punk had, but some people just don't get hurt. Punk seems to get hurt a lot. So there's something there. Sometimes bodies just are not built for this shit. They keep breaking down and keep breaking down. And I'll tell you another thing. If Punk gets hurt again, it's going to kill his momentum. Because he came into WWE hot. He came in with a ton of heat, ton of momentum. And they were able to keep that snowballing through his injury. Somehow, some way, because Punk is so good on the microphone, because he's such a good performer, because Drew is such a good performer. All the credit in the world to Drew just as much as Punk. This was both of them that built this feud to being such a must-see feud. This is one of my most anticipated matches of the entire year. I hope it goes off without a hitch. I hope Punk comes out of it in one piece, and I hope they do a little bit more. I hope it's not a one and done and then move on to Seth. I don't want to see that. They've been building this up for half a fucking year. Let's pay it off until we're sick of it, right? Let's have a couple matches out of these guys. Then we can move on to Seth Rollins. But that's my 2 cents on it. I would love to know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on the CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud? Are you glad that Seth Rollins is not in it? It's not a 3-way. Do you think that they can get a couple matches out of it? And most of all, let's get an actual injury pool going. I have no prizes to give the winner, but maybe, if we ever meet up at a show or something, I'll give you a hand job in the bathroom or something. I don't know. I'm just saying maybe. Don't hold me to it. We'll figure something out. But if you want to leave in the comments below the date, the time, the place, whatever you think that CM Punk will receive his next injury, and winner gets fucking sucked off or something. We'll figure it out. I'll leave it there. Peace, love, and pizza. I am your boy, Seth Grimes, and we'll catch you in the next video. Ooh, yeah. Thanks for checking out the video. You can check out more great clips by hitting that subscribe button below. Yeah. While you're there, don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to like it if you liked it. Ooh, yeah. Did it.